If you've ever been thankful that we finally made it back to this week, the week where NFL football starts again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Happy Tuesday. Happy Synthetic Monday after the Labor Day holiday. We got a truncated week, but it's going to be full of action. Let's just go ahead and get you ready for it.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, folks, welcome back. I love this comment, Shaka. The lads, as if we're out here being soccer hooligans, love it. The lads need our support to get up after a raucous Labor Day weekend. Look, I love it. I absolutely love it. Here's what I'm going to say. Smash the like. Oh, I have to get that other comment out of there, don't I? So smash the like, but then also don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Shaka, you're doing the Lord's work here for us. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Brian, happy Tuesday. Peter, happy Tuesday. AC2000, Bex, River, Motion, Nabil, Jonathan, BZ, Jane, Beach Bum, everybody. It's great to see you. Let's go ahead and welcome on my main man, 13 here. 13, happy Tuesday. How are you doing, and how was your weekend?
My weekend was fine. I'm doing great. Ready for football to start just like you are, and I'm ready to trade these markets on a shorter week. Let's get it going.
Okay, that was very, very short and to the point. Let me clean up a couple of questions here. Elon saying, how was your long weekend? It was excellent. Thank you. One of my friends who smokes a whole bunch of meat had a bunch of barbecue for me to enjoy yesterday. So you know I'm happy about that. JJ saying, Ryan, is that a bench press behind you? It is a weight rack, and then I also have a bench right in front of it. I have a curl bar on it right now and a bench press bar on the bottom. Remember, gotta lift weights, and I hate gyms. So there is a way to do that even if you don't have a gym membership. So that's what I do.
Ryan gets all kinds of gains, all kinds.
That's right. I mean, hey, look, hey, 13, I don't know if you recall, but the first time that I ever met you in person, I was like, damn, 13 is stacked. You can't tell because of his camera angle, but bro has a lot of filled out stuff up here. So he knows what's going on. He knows what's going on. All right. Let's get down to brass tacks here, though. Instead of talking about lifting weights, there'll be plenty of time to do that, especially as winter rolls around in some of the states that actually get snow and cold weather. But I digress. Let's dive right into the SPY here. I'll tell you what, this daily chart really kind of looks like, boy, I know we're up at this double top here, and it sure looks like we're testing a breakout here. And that's kind of what the chart like says to me, just looking at it, especially with this big volume bar that we had from Friday to close out August. But remember, today is September 3rd. This is the first trading day in September, and September on a seasonality basis is traditionally a weak month. Furthermore, any of you early birds that got up earlier and flipped on CNBC, you were probably greeted by Tom Lee saying he's cautious. Tom, and I know Dennis covered this earlier, Tom Lee, a permable, all of a sudden cautious from here to the election. That lines up quite well with the September seasonality that we see all of the time. So let's just kind of keep that on the back burner. Now, if we zoom into the SPY here and we look at the pre-market, you can see we're actually a little bit lower here in the pre-market. So the first thing that jumps off to me is going to be the low print of about 557 that we put in on Friday. If we're able to break that, that was a former resistance area that 13 told us about all week last week, I believe, or the week before. And then 555 beneath that will be another level of significance that we need to take a look at. Now, 13, I know I just kind of spoke for you, and I don't normally do that. So go ahead and correct the record if I improperly spoke for you.
I didn't quite hear which number that was, but that's okay.
557 and 555, the two coming up here.
Yeah, 557 and 555. Those are the two big levels on the way down that I've been watching. And it seems like every time that we get to 557, there's usually either support or just a bounce before we go lower to 555. Now, as soon as we get to 555, which we visited 3 times since we broke out of it on August 19th, there's been the dip buyers. They have come back in and they've helped pick this thing back up. And now we're getting close to those previous all-time highs, which at 565 and 16 cents. So right now it's currently underneath 561, which I had marked off as a particular level of interest going throughout last week as the price traded between that and 559 pretty frequently. It kind of consolidated most of the week in that range, but we did trade above and below it. So I'm going to be waiting to see what happens with here. Now, one thing to point out is that we did get a silver cross as of today. Now, I don't know if I would want to put a whole lot of weight in this because we did see the 20-day SMA cross down beneath the 50-day SMA just less than a month ago on August 9th. And now we're crossing it back to the upside. So that V-shaped recovery that we had kind of messing with those moving averages. So I'm not sure that I would necessarily put a whole lot of weight into that silver cross since we kind of got that, that whipping around of the price. So I still think that, we're looking at a double top. I can understand how Tom Lee might be a little bit cautious here because this consolidation kind of is concerning. Like we could push up through the all-time highs and just keep on grinding. But that's kind of why I'm just being a little bit cautious because this is the season, the month where we start to see that negative seasonality come into play, and already pretty extended. So 557, 555 to the downside. Still need that all-time high of 565.16 to break if we're going to go higher. And in between that, we have those levels of 559 and 561 that we might see a lot of price action go back and forth between until that.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Chris also saying here, Asia, London sold off pretty good overnight after taking some gains. So I wonder if that's going to kind of bleed through here today.
Yeah.
Good morning, Michael. It's great to see you again. And the Joker avatar, also pretty awesome. So, okay, really good breakdown there. I don't have anything on for the broader market. Did see a question here real quick. Aramis asking, is it time to buy SQQQ? Well, this is an interesting question because we have kind of felt like it's time for a while, and that trade has been really, really difficult. It will work for a day or two, but your timing has to be pretty spectacular. Otherwise, it ends up not working. My buys recently on SQQQ, I think there was one tranche in there that I sold for a gain, but for the most part, these buys were hedges that the losses ended up getting wiped out by the other holdings that I had moving up. So I can't necessarily say, yeah, you should buy it today. But if you're thinking that the technology in particular is going to continue to roll over, SQQQ makes a lot of sense. We've been trading that pretty regularly, as have some of the happy hour folk as well. So, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the movers, and then we'll take charts from what the group wants to see here. Let me flip over to my movers tool. 13, I love how you put it here this morning. We got a bunch of ex-girlfriend. How did you put it? Getting rowdy. What was the
running rampant? I don't know, something like that.
Running amok, I believe is what it was. Running amok. Okay, so let's take a look at what is running amok here today. I'm actually going to start with AUUD because this has something going on. I'll go back to SGRP here in a sec. AUUD, this is one of the ex-girlfriends. We've definitely traded this one before. We've seen this one pop before. We've seen this one move off the relative volume scanner before. We've seen all of that. So we should be pretty familiar with this name. Audia shares trading higher after the company announced it recently launched both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto interfaces for its Fader mobile application. So this should make it more mainstream. I'm not familiar with that application, but this should allow them into cars that have Apple Play or Android Auto, which I'm fairly certain is almost most of them. Now have some type of technology package. In any case, you can see what that's doing to the stock here. Stock's up 66%, going from a penny stock to $1 territory. And we've actually made some pretty good formations here in the pre-market. This impulse move, we consolidated about halfway down the stick. We took another leg higher, taking out that previous high. Now we've consolidated. We've tried to take that high out, but haven't been able to do it. However, we have not broke down, and we are still consolidating and building above the VWAP. So we'll see if we get a trade here. I'd be curious to know how all of you folks are going to trade some of these smaller names. I know there have been a few cases where the range breaks to the upside have really, really gone, but as far as a percentage, that's been the minority. So we'll see which one AUUD falls in here. 13, what do you have on AUUD this morning?
They have a 4.35 million share float, and they did
There you
a 1-for-25 reverse split on February 27th. Looks like they're going to need to raise some cash at some point, as they are losing a little more than $2 million a quarter. I don't know exactly when that could be. It could be probably around the time that they have their earnings, maybe a little bit after. Not going to gamble with trying to figure out when that is going to happen. But now they are above $1 again. Had something else on this one, but I can't remember what it was. But
Was it financial related? Was it their balance sheet? Let's see here. Not
necessarily. No, it was something else. But it's probably this is going to be on deck for tomorrow as well, because when we look at the session volume right now, we've traded 33.6 million shares versus an average 10-day volume of like under a million. So we'll see this up again, maybe tomorrow on a relative volume, but still not going to be one of those things that you hold. This is the day trade only. This company isn't really making, it hasn't turned a profit, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of money in revenue anyway. So this is a day trade here. I have levels going up, into the 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. So it's been there before, but I don't know how high it'll get today. First things first, let's worry about it getting back above this 441 that it's trying to struggle with right now. And 175.
okay, awesome. Jason from our chat here, Jason Lively, I've already scalped it twice this morning.
Nice.
Kudos to you. We're going to start with some register rings here early on. We're going to set the stage for some really awesome stuff here today. Love to hear it. You just love to hear it. Okay, let's keep rolling here. The next one that I had on the list that I was skipping for obvious reasons is SGRP. This is Spar Group. Just so you folks are aware of what's going on with this one here today. Spar Group shares trading higher after the company announced that it entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired, by Highwire Capital for $250 per share. So it sounds like this is going private, right? Highwire Capital, I believe, is a private equity firm. Check me on that. In any case, that's what's going on here with SGRP. 250 buyout, current price 242. There's nothing here, but this is why it's up, and this is why it might appear on your scanner. You didn't have anything for this buyout, did you?
No, you're right. There's nothing here.
Okay. Next, though, is going to be MSGM, and it looks like TrueMed from our chat is already on top of it. Now, if you take a look at the news here, I don't really see a whole lot. We did have earnings back at the beginning of August, but I think that's kind of bled through the system here. Motorsport games, we are popping. We were right down at about $1.20 on Friday. We popped as high, just over $1.80. It looks like we're holding $1.50. Current VWAP is at $1.53. Current price is at $1.53. So we'll see if we get something here. MSGM. I didn't have anything on this name, any type of catalyst. Were you able to find anything, or was anyone in the chat able to find anything? What do you got on this 13?
I see that there was some kind of form filed here, but it doesn't give me a whole lot. So I'm not sure if this was what's moving on, but I didn't see any news. It has a 1.7 million share float. It doesn't look like they're in any danger of, or not danger, but they don't have to raise any cash. It seems like their revenue is pretty good. They have over $500,000 on the balance sheet. So while it doesn't seem like a whole lot, it's not like they're really dipping into that to, heavily in order to stay afloat. So probably aren't going to need to raise cash anytime soon if they need to. Can't say that for sure. But don't have anything else really here on why it's moving, other than it's a low float, easy to move, and tradable.
Okay, and that combination right there, 13, that tells me that what we really want to look at here is going to be some of those technicals, right? If there's nothing that we can really kind of go off, technicals are going to be our friend and make sure we don't get oversized or offsides in any position that we don't want to have. So we'll pay attention to those. Curious to see how you folks end up trading this one today. Yeah, go ahead.
What's interesting about this one is that it popped just after the closing bell on Friday. So, and it went up to 186. So that's going to be the level to get above this morning. We have 168 or 170 also from the pre-market, but 186, that's going to be the big one to get over. And then we have $2 after that, and then 225 would be the next upside targets I have following that.
That's great. So you got 168, 186, 2, and 220. So there are your upside levels there on MSGM. We're ready to go with this one already. That's what I like to hear. Okay, next is going to be Shoals Technology. This is ticker SHLS. Sierra Hotel, Lima Sierra. Shoals Technology shares are trading higher after the company received a favorable legal ruling from the U.S. ITC in its patent infringement complaint against Voltage LLC and a related foreign entity. All right, so we're getting a court document here ruling in favor of this company. This has moved the stock from 550-ish on Friday, and actually right ahead of the close on Friday, we saw a whole lot of buying. Remember, there are no secrets on Wall Street, so it's possible that there were people kind of front-loading this, knowing this decision was going to come. Regardless, SHLH has actually traded above 7 here today. You can see we've made just a series of moves higher. Volume's a little bit low. Honestly, what I want the most out of a setup like this is some type of flush, some type of pullback. The faster it happens, the better. Generally speaking, that's going to be buyable, especially if it's that first one. If that continues to happen throughout the course of the day, I think with each consecutive flush, it's going to be less and less viable, but that first one should be pretty good. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here on SHLH. The VWAP's at 669. Current price is at 690. I'd really like that to tighten up. The high that we have here in the pre-market is 725. If we take a look at the daily chart here, you can see this area between 650 and 7 really was a previous consolidation area, and the 645 level was a previous support. Now we've got through that. The question is are we going to go higher here or maybe back test some of these levels? What say you, 13? What do you got on SHLS?
Well, unlike some of these other companies that we're seeing move this morning, this is actually more of a real company. They have actual revenue. They have actual money in the bank, and they don't seem to be in any hurry to do a reverse split. So this is going to trade a lot differently than the ones that we were talking about earlier. The float's a lot bigger, 144 million shares. And I kind of think that maybe some of this move might already be in, and it could be, like you said, it could be a flush at the beginning, and then it comes back later in the day. Like we've seen before with these heavier float ones, it is a lot harder for these to move, and we might get some good movement throughout the day, maybe like a volatility pocket, where the volume spikes briefly. So that's still possible with something like this. But again, that float is very, very heavy compared to the other ones we trade. And we're not going to be able to get the same kind of price action usually with something like this. I think this is also going to be moving pretty well on the idea of rate cuts, seeing that this is tied to solar. So there's also that angle as well. This is a really heavily owned company by institutions. It seems like it's a pretty good company, has a lot going for it, great looking financials. So this seems like this would be a safer play than some of these other ones. But again, I think this move may be a little bit extended. I would want to see where the regular session takes us first.
Yeah, Jay Rice saying the sector is not great. Solar indeed. And if you take a look at that daily chart, you can see a lot of those solar stocks are really depressed. But if that starts to turn around, interest rates, election, all of that stuff. And the other thing is, I know that we've traditionally viewed solar as a left versus right when it comes to the elections. And I got to be honest, with Elon Musk getting more and more involved with Trump side of that, I almost want to say that solar could be primed to do well in either case, especially if the backdrop is rates being cut. That's just kind of how I look at that. We'll wait and see how that ends up panning out.
Green energy in general, we're out here in Texas, we're getting a lot of green energy projects coming online, and a lot of solar, battery, hydrogen infrastructure things getting done. So it seems like green energy is kind of making a comeback here. So something definitely worth watching.
There you go. Really good breakdown there. Okay, next is going to be VUZI. This is ticker VUZI. This is Vuzix. This is one that we've talked about quite a bit, isn't it? I feel like we've looked at this one a lot, or frequently, I should say.
We've looked at this one before in happy hour, probably a long time ago when we were still talking about the Apple
the glasses
headsets. Yeah, because that's what Vuzix does. They actually have a line of products that has their glasses or kind of like headsets, not like Apple's, but they're actually designed nice looking glasses, and they have little screens in them, little projector screens. So very interesting products they have. Not really selling that well. They're more geared towards the industrial sector, but they still have general consumer products as well. interesting company. I don't know what it's moving on. I didn't cover this morning. What do you have here?
Quanta, this is for Tuesday, September 3rd. Quanta enters a 20 million 3-tranche investment in Vuzix, consisting of Vuzix common and preferred stock. So that was PR'd here this morning. That's what's driving this higher. Stock hitting 117 right now. Actually, looks like it hit 118 or 119 earlier, but that's the news catalyst going on here with Vuzi.
Yeah. So great. I mean, I think this company has a lot of work to do. Like somebody just mentioned, their float's a little big, and I agree. That's a 61 million share float. Just pulled itself above $1. It seems like this is going to be one of those companies that's going to need to do a reverse split. And seeing as how they lose millions of dollars every quarter, they're probably going to have to raise cash at some point. They have almost 10 million on the balance sheet, and they're losing more than that every quarter. So I think this investment comes at a pretty good time for Vuzi.
Yeah. There you go. And guess what? That's on our list to trade here. Balladog saying, absolutely, Ryan, energy is apolitical now. Honestly, I feel like that is the case. And that's that's the way I should have described it. Instead of left-right issue, I should have said apolitical, because that's the correct term. You're absolutely right. And it feels like that more and more. Now, we'll see if that pans out. A politician's not known for telling the truth. Let's just put it that way, no matter which side that they're on. So we'll see how it all plays out, but that's something to keep in mind here. Okay.
Jay Rice, you mean 30?
What's that?
I was asking Jay Rice if he remembers when Kathy was buying it. But yeah, this thing went up to like 30 or higher, I thought, at one point. I forgot that Kathy was buying this thing.
Yeah, this thing peaked at 32. That was back in 2021.
That was a crazy year.
Yeah, it was all that post-COVID stuff. It was all pretty crazy. Okay, let me keep moving here so we can get the stocks that you folks want to take a look at. I only got 2 left here on the list. First one here is going to be ticker BOF. This is Branch Out Food. This is one that we talked about. I think this was a last week play, if I recall correctly. Indeed, it was. So this was one on from last week. And actually, let's just stay on the 15-minute chart here, because this formation actually looks pretty good. Some levels that I'd be looking at here, let's call it 260 and 267. Really, that area in there, if we end up taking these highs off from last week, I think this could probably go a little bit higher. You can see basically what we've done here is we've had an impulse move that moved us from 69 cents up to 267, and we've kind of consolidated back here at $1.79. Now we're curling back up. We'll see if we take out 250 and then some of those highs. Did you have anything here on BOF?
I didn't cover this one because we actually have traded this before, and this is one that we're semi-familiar with. But let's just look at the levels that that we can see if we get some more upside. First of all, we have to get back above that VWAP. That's going to be important. Another thing is that this pre-market high that we have is at 245. We're about 19 cents away from there right now. Well, it's moving around, so I can't give you an accurate read on that. But 19 cents away from 245. That's going to be the first target to take out. I have another one at 255. And then, of course, we have that 267 that we had from the 29th of August, just last week. And then I have levels going up to 280, 310, and 330 after that.
Next, we have SMFL. This one I'm going to be a little wary of. I'm just mentioning it because we've recently traded it. We did pop on volume here earlier today, although we've bled most of it back. It's beneath the VWAP. Have no fresh news here for today. But SMFL, Smart for Life. This is one we looked at recently. Looks like it's trying to get some action here today. Did you have anything else on this one?
If you recall, this is the one that's supposed to be acquiring like 4 different wellness companies. And last time that we traded this, I was kind of questioning where they're going to be getting that money from.
Yeah, I do recall that.
Well, they did do a reverse split. I have to look and see when they did it, but they are now down to 110,000 shares in their float. So there's no need for them to do a reverse split, and they are above $1. So that checks that box. But they are going to be needing a lot of cash, especially if they're going to be doing that acquisition. So I think that they'd have to raise at some point. Be careful with this one because they don't want to get caught in a halt where they are about to announce an offering. Okay.
Really good stuff there. I'm going to flip back over to my chart tool here. I saw Shaka and Amanda talking about Unity here today. Boy, I'm having all different types of trouble with some of my tabs here. Here is Unity. Really quickly, Amanda trying to ask Robert here, are you looking at Unity at all? I'm thinking about buying some dips for a small position. I think, Amanda, first of all, one of the things that really kind of jumps off the page here about Unity is, haven't we really kind of formed a base I understand we kind of moved a little bit lower out of this, but does kind of look like we're basing. So maybe that bottom is in there. Shaka saying, yeah, you is a good buy on the dip. Not one that I own here. RSI is kind of in no man's land at the moment. Sorry, that's so hard for me to say. MACD does look like it's going to expand, but that can change pretty quickly here. We're also riding that 50-day moving average. I'd use that as a potential stop. But Unity, pretty interesting chart here. Maybe the bottom is in. Maybe the bottom is in here. Unity software shares trading higher after Morgan Stanley upgraded the stock from equal weight to overweight here this morning.
You know, this kind of looks like it has an inverse head and shoulders trying to form on the daily chart. It still needs some time to finish the right.
Is that right here, here, and then here?
Yeah, it's looking
kind
like
janky,
it's still trying to form that right shoulder. So this might need a little bit more time. It could get back down under 16 briefly. So this may end up being something that's going to end up being good longer term. But I want to see it break out of this formation here, and to do that, it's going to need to see multiple closes above 18.
Okay, 10 seconds here. So I'm going to go ahead and get Trade the Pool open. Reminder, the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool. So if you need help getting above the 25K day trading threshold or simply need some more dry powder, Trade the Pool is who to check it out, or is who to check out. I beg your pardon. Also, heard that GameStop was getting some action. It was halted on Robinhood last night. Someone help me out with that. Not sure on that.
All right, just kind of looking around here at those ones we talked about, see what's what they're doing. AUD, not really just figuring out where it wants to go. Currently above VWAP right now. MSGM, it looks like it's trying to push lower. Smart for Life, trying to make its way towards VWAP right now. And what else do we have here? What is everybody looking at? BOF going higher. Let's take a look. Yeah,
GME is going higher here. BOF getting mentioned. That actually popped above the pre-market highs. Awesome. Yep. Brian and Market Sniper just not even waiting all over that. 260-year high print. There is still some size there. We'll see if that gets dropped.
All right. Looks like SHLS trying to push lower.
PCVX, watch Vaxite here. This stock up massively here today. This is up 37% where it's currently at right now. Vaxite shares trading higher after the company announced it selected VAX31 to advance an adult phase 3 program following top-line results from its phase 1-2 study. So good data here on PCVX. Looks like it's trying to take out the pre-market high. I'm actually going to mark this off in case we do get one of those little range backtest trades here. Careful with this one, though. This is already up 40% here today. NVAX getting mentioned. NVAX popping here. There was some news on, and let me pull that. There was some news on Friday on NVAX that caused Charlie actually squawk this. This was a great scalp for anyone that was able to hit that off the squawk tool on Friday. Let me go ahead and get you that. Novavax says FDA authorizes updated COVID-19 vaccine to better protect against currently circulating variants. That it was the squawk. They actually PR'd that a little bit later. That's why NVAX is moving up here. SHLS pulling back, went right through the VWAP, right off the open.
All of these are pulling back. Odd, MSGM, and SMFL. They're, well, maybe not SMFL, but these all look like they're trying to pull back a little bit here. This is I think we need to maybe wait a little bit, see what they do.
Okay. Look, I'm never against kind of letting things shake out. I'm going to take a look at some of the stocks folks are mentioning here in the chat, though. TGTX getting mentioned. Is that rockets out of here? This has been a show favorite, right, Jay Rice? We've been talking about this one for a long time. We've made great trades on this. I've done pretty well on this in my main account as well. TGTX ripping here, no position at the moment, but wow, nice little move out of the open here. Serve getting mentioned by Motion. Is that doing anything today? Not really. Kind of just dripping. Nvidia?
MSGM might be trying to come back up. May have found a little bit of a rebound spot. We'll see. It needs to hold above 140.
Okay, there's MSGM. Folks, NVIDIA, this was the call here. It looks like a number of you are looking at NVIDIA. Travis, Motion, looks like you guys are looking at NVIDIA here. Lauren, and NVIDIA, we talked about this last week. I know our happy hour group, a couple of the really experienced guys in the happy hour group have said, look, something's different at NVIDIA now. What was the term that he helped me out, 13? Do you remember? It was something good, right? Not about it breaking its maiden or anything. It doesn't matter. Basically, trading has kind of changed in NVIDIA. You're seeing that again here. We've never really seen pullbacks recently in names like this.
Vuzik's really making a move up to 132 now is the high. Seen some movement for MSGM trying to come back off of that drop it had out of the gate. What else?
I'm having chart resolute. There we go on Vuzi. So this is spiking higher here.
There's not a lot of things really putting in some big moves quite yet. I mean, we had BOF at that pop and drop. NVAC's still looking pretty good. That's trying to stay above its after hours high from Friday.
All right, WIS taking, or it looks like Crow taking SIFI here. This is SIFY. This is moving higher here. Just moved through its VWAP. This is a penny stock. We'll see if this gets rolling here. SMCI, Jay calling this red to green here on some comments. What were the comments here? SMCI, I tell you what, SMCI doing a hell of a lot better than NVIDIA is this morning, just completely moving the other way. Sentiment change on NVIDIA, indeed line, but there was another way that he said it. I just can't remember. It's just bothering me. Rip and DT, good to see you, Dan. Also in on SIFI here today.
Be careful with SMCI. Remember that this is not the time to be thinking that they're just going to turn this around with that filing. I mean, this thing is death crossing to this week. It's right on the doorstep of doing that, and the formation doesn't look great either. I think this still ends up going lower. SMCI. Okay, good breakdown there, 13. And those pops there have given some wicks. I'm going to keep rolling through. Here's PCVX. So it went up to the top end of the channel there and stopped. We'll see if we go through there. PCVX. Never traded this name, so kind of want to see how it's going to trade first. GME, that did pop out of the open. VKTX getting mentioned by the chat. We'll take a look at that as well. VKTX, we'll see if that can take out Friday's intraday high. That'd be a mover there. Redfin, RDFN. So this was interesting that this is popping here. If we take a look at the daily, this thing had a pretty strong impulse move. And our chat, our happy hour chat called a regression back to the mean trade. Looks like we're getting a little bit of that pop. That was short-lived here, but awesome for whoever hit that one. GME, we're starting to see some emojis filter into the chat here. What's going on with GME? Can anyone help me out with this one? Why is it moving? Let me see if Pro's got any news on this one. Probably should have checked that first, huh? 13. Terminating its $250 million credit facility.
Yep. Trading higher and continued strength after the company recently issued a notice to terminate its $250 million credit facility. So that was from Friday, August 30th. Looks like that news is still popping it here today. Told you last week. Yeah, Jay, you don't have to get mad, bro. We're looking to see if there's anything that happened over the weekend
BOF.
that's kind of changing this.
BOF pushing. Looking for 280 if it can get past that high it put in at 263.
SIFI getting mentioned. Did that take off here? Hey, that was a 84-cent call on the buy, I believe. Looks like we printed 89.
NVAX might also get going here too. And you see a little bit more volume expansion, but it's holding VWAP.
NVAX really needs to take out its after hours high here. It's really kind of butting up against that.
You know, this is kind of a very
Bitcoin selling off.
I know we're still early into the day here, but this is very muted. You know, for a day where we're supposed to be getting inflows. It's the first trading day of the month.
Well, inflows be damned. Here's your SPY. We're printing new lows here. 13.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the Qs too. Qs at lows. How's small caps doing? IWM's outperforming.
Oh, Tom Lee. All right, so what are we doing here? Looks like
Tesla
Index
calls coming across the wire. How's Tesla doing? That's got to be at its highs, right?
looks like Index and Vuzi
Yep.
are still holding their VWAP. They are setting up to go higher. Let's take a look at what's going on with the. Okay, so Tesla, the only Mag 7 that is green today.
And it's had a nice little pop out of the open there.
Yeah, and Microsoft and Meta are the next closest to turn green. So if we are going to see anything turn green, it's going to be those two, maybe even Apple.
SMCI, this went green. Let's take a look at some of those other names you just mentioned. Here's Apple. That's trying to hold in there. Here's Microsoft. This actually looks a little bit stronger.
Palantir dumping.
AUUD curling. We'll see if it can move through its VWAP right here. Looks like that first move got sold into. See if it goes higher here.
BOF now approaching 280. It got as high as 275.
Hopefully you folks are trimming into this move here. BOF. This was a good one. You guys were on this one. Also, shout out to you for SIFI. I'm generally not a penny stock player here, but Crow's got your back.
BOF pulling a little bit. This one could end up going through 280 and up to 310, following a little bit of a pullback.
Meta has gone green, so it looks like these Mag 7s trying to firm up here, 13. SPY still at lows. Let's check the Qs. Those are trying to curl here. Mag 7 leading the way.
All right, looks like Inbax is trying to push up to the next level. It looks like it wants to go through 13. See if that'll happen.
Comp playing regression back to the mean here. Short on. Oh my God, Comp. Where did you hit that chart? Because a pullback to the VWAP here. We actually cracked VWAP on Tesla. That's coming in here. 90 cent plus now on SIFI. 91. It looks like we're printing here. NVDQ. I love the short bros when just adding Q to everything here. This big pullback here in Nvidia, these Nvidia inverse ETFs looking pretty good. AUUD, this actually looks like this could go here.
At least go back to VWAP. I've got to get back above it.
Yeah, I'm going to try a starter here. We'll see if this, as soon as I bought it, it sold off. Let's go. Let's go. We know the market's regular if that's happening. See if this gets above 140 here. A little bit of size to the upside. There's a bid here at 130 on the downside. You know what? We'll actually put a stop out here.
Today.
We'll put a stop out here just so I can kind of flip around. If that 130 breaks, we'll be out AUUD. Took a little here, but that's all right. Let's see what else you guys have.
This morning.
Jay Rice mentioning Nvidia. This is a good comment here. Nvidia looking bad, dip buyers getting hurt. Now, remember, one of the things that we have been talking about with this dip buying is that the market participants seem to have been conditioned to buy the dip. And so Nvidia, one of the biggest names here, you know, that eventually the dip buying is not going to work. Now, this is going to need to hold. And I mean, we've seen Nvidia really kind of get crazy here. I'd be curious to know, is the dip buying over or no?
I think you might see more dip buying as soon as it goes down, or maybe even under 100.
Don't rage quit, bro. Love. Okay. First of all, not only do I love your handle,
out that for us.
I was going to say, not only do I love your handle, but your avatar is Alt F4 with the cancel sign on it. I mean, the only thing that could be more gamer like is if you had Alt QQ up there, because for a while Alt QQ was quitting and they made QQ crying and the whole 9 yards. This is awesome. Really quickly here, I see SIFI news about becoming a co-location partner with Nvidia. That is from yesterday. That was a PR here from yesterday. So if we're going to go to pro, here you go. This is from India. SIFI becomes the first in India to achieve Nvidia DGX ready data center certification for liquid cooling to enable breakthrough AI performance. So I think that that's kind of a fluffy PR, like they're just kind of ready for it. That's what I gather from that.
Let's see here.
But nonetheless, and your handle and avatar is just literally the tops. All right, let's see if we're moving here in AUUD. We were looking for a 140, a move above 140. We're testing that area now. Let's see. Let's see if we can get cranking above 140 here. Amanda's saying that the Tesla flush was huge. Indeed, we retraced that entire up move. Amanda, let me ask you, is this a buyable spot now? What say you?
NVAX 13.
NVAX is at 13, so
At
that
13.
is above.
Yep.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. A firm getting mentioned here by Shaka. Wow, $44 on a firm. Man,
Looks like SHLS is trying to turn around too. Currently butting up against the VWAP, trying to overtake it.
There we go. SHLS doing the same thing we were waiting AUUD to do. We're really hoping that AUUD rips higher here. 150 break would be great.
It's certainly trying to, and it also looks like MSGM is trying to turn around as well. So all the names that were looking weak at the open there now looking a little bit better. Oh man, remember that I was telling you earlier, the antimony play? Well, that's having a good morning so far. This thing is so.
Is this UAMI that you're mentioning here?
UAMI, yeah. Still think this is going to end up doing pretty well into going up into September 15th when China is supposed to enforce those or curb the exports of antimony. Not that the United States doesn't have a whole store of it, like we have plenty of it, but there's other angles that for this company as well. They just acquired a bunch of mines, so interesting play.
Sorry to run you over there. Those Mag 7 names really starting to break down here. Apple at the lows. We already had Amanda outlining the Tesla move lower here. Netflix is at the lows. Jay, you had mentioned Meta earlier. Meta's really the one that's kind of holding up here so far. Thanks. It's from the old Call of Duty days when you could hear your opponent's mic while they were watching the kill cam. And when I hear him rage, I type this. It eventually became my name. You are welcome here anytime. Don't rage quit, bro. That is absolutely awesome. I just love that. I love stuff like that. Okay. What else we got rolling here? Here's you. Guess what? Unity appeared on the relative volume scanner. So looks like Shaka, Amanda, who else was on? Robert, I think you guys were talking about Unity earlier. Looks like we traded up out of the open, a little bit of a dip and rip there. See if Unity goes higher here. Chris, good morning. Good to see you trading Tesla here. All right. Jay mentioning Love. Of course, that was the news there is the Elliott management. So Elliott, enough shares for a board seat. Also in Etsy. So are you looking to trade any of these names that Elliott has gotten involved with, Jay? I'd be curious to know. SIFI, by the way, I saw you guys were mentioning that. That came back to its VWAP here. It's holding it so far, though.
Oh, that's some bad Boeing news.
Oh, yeah. The Boeing news. That tell you what, this stock just has nothing but more bad news.
Oh, yeah.
And kudos to you, 13, because you were on them trapping the astronauts at the space station and how bad that was. Probably before anybody that I was talking to.
Yeah, that was just one facet of their woes, but it's a big one because when I look at that, I think, man, the future of this company is in jeopardy.
CNFR halted here to the upside. Let me go back to that Boeing chart while you wax poetic about them.
Yeah,
I wanted to throw that into a sentence today, and here we are. It's not even 9 a.m. Central, and I got it.
All right,
Let's go.
Close the stream. We're done.
Close the stream. We're done, guys. Close the stream. Cross the streams. No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, so when I think of how bad things have been for Starliner, how much money they put in with that, and how much NASA's been how much money NASA's been putting in with that, and to have this just not work out. Meanwhile, SpaceX is going to come up and rescue the astronauts. That's just a bad look, and it really hurts the future of the company because space literally is the next big frontier for companies like Boeing. So if they can't get that right, they're just going to be making military equipment and airplanes for the rest of their company's life, basically.
BOF, guys, this new highs here, BOF. I'm not in this one. I really, I stopped out of AUUD. Looks like it broke that huge bit. Yeah, oh my gosh. Not only did it break that, it's saying, look, your first stop is your best stop. Glad we got out of that one here. We'll see if AUUD sets up. That curl was kind of a head fake there. SIFI was what we were just looking at. What else did we have? BOF. That was the big ripper there.
Yeah, BOF doing good. That one's almost well, it's looking like it's beelining for 310. Also,
I'll tell you what. Sorry for interrupting you again. The more I look at this unity from what the group's suggesting, the more I like it.
And then NVAX also pushing up to new intraday highs. 1312 is the new high now. And it looks like MSGM also trying to get back to start.
Which MSGM?
Yeah,
you said mentioned. Gotcha.
MSGM. Yeah, that one is pushing up as well, trying to get through the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. And once it does that, then we should start to see some better movement. It's got to work its way through this consolidation it put in this morning. I was saying PPTA is a good play for antimony.
PPTA.
I think I looked at this one as well, and I believe So this one, I think that. It could still end up moving more, but or it could end up moving a lot more. But I think one of the reasons why I was looking at UAME and not this one is because this one has had several good moves already to the upside. So I'm not sure that there's going to be a huge amount left on here. There might be, but I liked UAME because they were still working their way back up. Here we go with MSGM. This is really starting to move now.
By the way, SIFI broke beneath its VWAP here on SIFI, so that might be done. Here is MSGM, as 13 was saying. We just punched through the VWAP there. See if this ends up getting rolling. AUUD, Motion's asking, can this bounce back? I mean, it can, but where is that going to happen here? I got the next level here maybe at 122, and we just went right to that. Honestly, at this point, let it prove it. Look at this. Look at the volume here. It's all selling volume. It's all selling volume. We got the MACD really kind of expanding. Let's not play hope on this. Let's wait for it. If it confirms and gives us a trade, okay. But we got there better stuff here to trade today, it seems.
Yeah, for AUD, I think that you're going to probably see support at around 115 or $1. There's a 65.
POF, this was a great break from that high earlier.
Yeah, so AUD, look, there's a 65 EMA on the 5-minute around 115. There's the 200 EMA on the 5-minute just above $1. So I'd be looking at those EMAs to provide support should we see some more downside. NVAX might be pushing up through 1312 pretty soon here. Still waiting for SHLS to push back up through VWAP. Not sure about this one. I'm not taking position in this one yet.
It's finding resistance there without a doubt.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I know it's a penny stock, and I'm not usually into these, but the whole theme with UAME is pretty good, and it's having a good morning. Got up to 78 cents after opening. It made a 10-cent move.
AOI looking pretty good here. 200 day at 1336 as well. Sorry, was there more to go on UAME?
Not necessarily.
This is a good daily chart too, though. 13.
Yeah, I like the daily chart.
Yeah. Vox still going. VOXX. That is also a pretty good daily chart. 663 your 200 day there. I think we could test that.
All right, time to look at see what's
CNFR that opened, that popped into an upside halt. We took a look at that earlier real quick. Looks like we're going higher here. 130's got some more size. They just brought in a bid at 120. Rather large bid at 120. TGTX 25 plus now. Big move there, TGTX.
So BOF got up to 3.
UVXY. You guys trading vol here today? Boom. Nice. Nice on that volatility move, UVXY. I have donated so much money to this VIX fund over the years, trying to trade VIX, going all the way back to 2015, 2016. Oh, my goodness. Congrats if you guys are making money off UVXY.
Let's see. Did we get to 17 today in VIX?
That's a good question. Yeah, we're at 1722.
Are we? I see it. We're at 1684.
Yeah, I've got this is VIX, just ticker VIX. I've got it at 1722. We are above 17 on the VIX. And really dragging the AI trade. ARM, AMD, Dell, MU. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's just roll through those tickers here, Jay. Also, INOD. I know we talked about that smaller AI name. That one also a little bit lower here. Here's ARM. We expect to see very similar charts here. Micron, same deal. AMD, I'm guessing, same deal. Oh, man, AMD might be the weakest of the group there. Dell, how's that? That actually just had a good day last week, didn't it? Yep, Dell lower here, but that's not the weakest. AMD looks to be the weakest there. 1740 on the VIX. Yeah, I see that now too. 1748 is the reading that I have. Higher we go on the VIX. FMC getting blasted today. Goldman Sachs getting smoked. Whew.
BOF going higher.
That bird is yapping. Yeah, okay. So I've got two birds. They're in another room. Let me see if I can quiet that down. 1 sec. 13. I'll be right back.
All right. And in the meantime, we have, looks like AUD is trying to turn around, still kind of at the same area it was when we dropped, but seems to be basing. Look at you, Amy. This thing is now almost 80 cents. That's crazy. No way MU is the weakest. Well, let's take a look at MU. Down almost 4.7%. This thing hasn't death crossed yet, but it is on its way. So this looks like at some point it's going to be breaking beneath 85. Where this goes down to, can't exactly say, but if we lose 85, I think we could end up going under 80, and that's in Micron. ASTS one is in one of the few in the green. Let's take a look at ASTS. I have ASTS as basically flat on the day, but at least it's not I mean, it had a drop earlier down to 28.21, and then it recovered, but it's kind of flat on the day, from what I can see.
Boom! There we go. Should be all set. Let me know if that's better there, Shaka.
I still hear him a little bit, but it's not. I don't think it's.
Do you really?
I mean, they really got. I mean, it's got to be an intense conversation. They have to have.
Well, they're talking to people. There's no question about it.
BOF now up to 325. This thing is looking like one of the better ones this morning.
Yeah, that was the one to trade here today. That's for sure.
And it looks like AUD is trying to turn around, but it has not turned around, but it looks like it's trying to. I still think this may end up going slightly lower. Just need to wait for this one to finish.
The one thing that I'll say here, anytime we look at these, especially when I trade one that was not the right one, like BOF here, this was clearly the trade of the day. We tried to trade a little bit of a curl back up here in AUD. What's different about these that really kind of just shows which one is the right one? Look at the volume. Look at the volume here in AUD. A ton of selling volume, and it's really kind of died off. If we compare that to BOF, look how it's just continually expanded, and it's been buying volume that has really expanded the volume. That, to me, makes it no surprise to see it up here. So that might be something else that we really kind of need to fold in. Probably you're going to need to wait out that first trade a little bit more in order to get a better reading on this.
Fine job, Amanda and Carmen. Fine job, both of you.
On which one? What
are we? Carmen on Boozy for her successful day trade, and Amanda hitting her goal. We also have a mention of Vox going. This one we traded last week.
We got multiple cash register rings here for the group, and Vox is going here and popping. Parker, you're mentioning AAOI. We looked at that earlier. Looked like this was really trying to set a new high here. We're still there. We haven't done it yet. Probably coming here, though. Get ready for a September disaster. Wouldn't be surprised, Atlas. Would not be surprised.
I'm so ready for a September disaster.
Me too. Me too. AAOI, I like this. Maybe this goes higher here. CNFR, this is one of those movers from earlier. Looks like this is coming back in a little bit. JBDI, Crow. That was that recent IPO, wasn't it? Yeah, that's actually curling back up here.
Yeah, Nicholas.
Juan saying it's not going to happen. We're not going to get a September disaster. No pullbacks allowed.
Nicholas with a great point about the tech stocks being in so many funds.
Indeed.
That's gonna really hurt them as well. A lot of unraveling needs to be done.
That's why people are saying if that starts to sell off, you could really kind of accelerate that, because that's in so many things. And we've often said, what's left to buy? Who's left to buy Nvidia? Who doesn't have it already? Here is NVAC's new highs.
Yep, 1320. VKTX, after the drop down to 62.75, it is now recaptured 64.50.
Look at PCVX. We did end up going higher than that 113.50 upper boundary. This stock up massively here today. PCVX up 45% here today.
Looks like AUUD trying to get some support at this current level here. If it doesn't get support there, I think that it might be headed down to $1.
This is an interesting point here. What do you guys think of Jay's point here? The market, a change of the market as of today, not last week. We were already kind of talking about Nvidia trading a little bit differently last week, but Jay's saying a change of market here today. Last week, the market was able to handle some of these negative reactions, or the negative reactions to Nvidia earnings, but today, not so much. Jay, to your point here about how the market is handling it, I mean, market is at the lows. Right, we are getting low prints across the board, so you're definitely there. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about it changing from last week to this week?
Well, I mean, we are getting some people coming off of some institutions and fund managers coming off of summer vacation and being away, so we might see a pickup in that kind of activity on that side. So
indeed, Shaka here saying I don't have Nvidia, and Amanda proving my point for me. Shaka, not even in your 401k. I'm surprised. And that's kind of what I was referring to. Even if you actively manage some type of portfolio and don't own Nvidia, if you have any other type of investment product like a 401k or something of that nature, you likely have exposure to Nvidia. Amanda's absolutely correct here. Juan also saying here, one thing I've seen many times, and you're not alone in this one, Juan. Well, let me bring that up on screen here while I'm reading this. While everyone expects the market to do one thing, it's like on purpose it does it the other way. There are all types of different sayings about this. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. The market likes to inflict a maximum amount of pain. Whatever it is, Juan, you're absolutely right. We've been talking about that in Happy Hour for a while. Here is BOF 13. How are you doing on this?
I'm not trading BOF. I was trading MSGM. That's also going right now, and I'm waiting for AUD to turn around.
MSGM, here we go.
So this one's moving quite nicely. It's making its way up to the pre-market highs, which looks like that's going to be about 168. And then we also have the no, that's not. That's also pre-market. The after hours is what on Friday is what the next play target would be for there, and that'd be 186. So 168 and 186, next two upside targets in MSGM.
Bitcoin also at the lows here, 58,500 on the futures chart there for Bitcoin. I think given what we're seeing here in the market, ARI, I think this is what we were calling this last week. This is popping here. We'll see if this gets back. This made a huge spike that's much higher than this. You know, I think given some of the weakness that we're seeing here today, it's almost surprising to see SMCI in the green. This relative strength clearly outperforming some of its peers.
For Bitcoin, it looks like it's trying to find a bottom, but if it doesn't here, then it's going to go probably slightly under 58,000 before it starts to reverse. It's done that before. That's kind of what I'd be expecting it to do again. It needs to just take out 58,000, trade underneath that for a bit, and then it I think it would be better, especially if it recaptures 58,000. It's done that before. I'd expect it to do it again.
Parker saying SHLH, I'm in at 660 looking for 7. Here you go on SHLH. See if we do get back to that 7 there.
Great call in box. That thing has just been straight up after for the first 15 minutes of the
Sure
open.
has. You guys have really doing a good job yet again here this morning. There isn't a whole lot here today. And given what's going on in the SPY right now, I don't feel great about just stepping in front of stuff. You guys are finding where the action is. That's what we want to see. Exactly what we want to see. You guys are awesome. Guys and gals, I'm sorry. SPY literally pounding the lows. 557 coming here.
Here we go.
CNFR, this consolidating near its highs. Let's see if we pop off 136 here, CNFR.
557 is a support level, so we could see a bounce here. And if we don't see a bounce, it's going to be a pretty hefty knife right through that level down to 555.
Here it is.
And what else?
Crow saying decent day, not going for home runs today. Crow, that makes a lot of sense to me, given what we're kind of seeing here. I would not be setting up for home runs. I think that's smart. GDC getting multiple calls by the chat in the chat. Wiz, Shaka, you guys are all over this. Sorry, say again.
SHLS also trying to push up higher too. Yeah, today seems like a base hit kind of day. Let's get on base, folks. Don't need to get the, don't need to make runs, just need to get on base.
Chris asking if Pan W can save him today. Chris, I sure hope it can. I don't advise trading on hopium, but man, I'm hoping it does save you here today, boss.
All right. Looks like SPY trying to turn around after testing 557. And we've seen this happen before. It tests 557. Sometimes it just turns around and that's the low for the day. Other times it tests 557, kind of trades up a bit, goes sideways, and then it falls through it. We got the reversal on Friday and Thursday. Wednesday, that wasn't the case. It actually tested it and then fell through and then recaptured it. So you're going to see this kind of price action between these two levels, 557 and 555. 557 could be the low of the day. If not, then it's 555. That's where all the dip buyers appear to be hiding out. And if we lose 555, then that's going to be a big change from what we've seen last month.
Good morning, Mike. Great to see you here this morning.
Hey,
looks like you still lost your Easy Mike account. Hopefully you're getting that back, man. Katana Maiku. I'm not even sure I can pronounce this correctly, Mike. Really hoping you get Easy Mike back here.
All right, what's turning around? Oh, it looks like BOF is trying to take out that 348 high. I have BOF next upside target of 360, and then I don't have anything above that. Let me put some more levels in.
Anak Patel here mentioning TLT. Anak saying, I think TLT goes above 100 soon with rate cuts coming this month. So Anak thinks the rate cuts are here. Here's your look here. The 100 is that recent high. You totally see a breakout above this. Maybe it trades up to that 110. That was the previous area. So TLT, Anak, you like TLT. Anyone else like TLT for a potential swing long here? Just curious. Carmen saying today is a sucky day. Every stock in my portfolio is down. Carmen, that we get some of those days here. They will not be like that every day. I know, at least from this group, it won't be.
All right. Well, for BOF, the next levels I have are going to be, well, we already talked about 360. That's the high.
Sorry. Okay.
That's the high from February. After that, we have 395, 425, 475, and 620. And then above that is blue skies.
Which one? Which ticker is this again?
This is BOF.
BOF. That's the trade of the day. BOF. This is the trade of the day.
Looks like AUD is trying to turn around now.
Oh, here we go.
So got a little bit of support from that 65 EMA. Currently looking better. Needs to get back up to VWAP and recapture it though.
Now let me ask you, 13, just kind of thinking out loud here. We already saw this kind of give us a head fake once today, so we really want to kind of avoid something like that. Do you think that maybe we can kind of confirm an up move if we get above, say, 125, maybe something like that? And I'm also not seeing that volume expand, which is something we just talked about earlier.
It does need to expand the volume some more. It's
Yeah.
The sellers get really concentrated at 130 and higher. But it could just get that huge big order that comes right in and takes a lot of this out. I think you're at that 125 area that would need to be recaptured first. I'd prefer to see it get back above 130. But it does. I think the statement I made before, getting back to VWAP is going to be the big thing, and getting back over is going to be the next big thing. So VWAP for me is where I think this needs to head to next.
Okay.
Next at 135.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's check some of the other movers. BOF, this is just a staircase to heaven. Let's check in on SIFI. Oh boy, SIFI, that's just really kind of turned around. Holding strong on your SQQQ, Lion. Excuse me. Woo! You guys should be glad I muted that sneeze.
Was it going to blow up my eardrums?
I mean, I don't know. My audio setup here is pretty crispy, so I don't think it's going to cause anything like that. But it's just not pleasant to sneeze. That's never pleasant.
I could hear the wind rushing past my ears. Anyway, BOF 350 is now the new high, working its way up to 360. Right in your face.
I mean, I'm doing what I can.
I'm just messing with you, man.
There's no way my sneeze from Illinois reached you down in Texas. That'd be pretty cool if it did.
Yeah, weather report. All right.
Dow laggards, Boeing, Intel, Caterpillar, and Goldman Sachs all down. Boeing leading the way down -7%. NASDAQ gainers, Supermicro, Dexcom, Autodesk, and Fortinet.
Okay, so BOF now at 363 is the new intraday high. Next level I have is 395.
I think if you guys are still in this, should probably be paying yourselves, right? I don't see a buy here unless we pull back. Volume's still looking pretty good. I'd like this to really kind of hold a level on a flush, though. That would give me an opportunity to maybe trade this.
MO, KO, and PEP, all green, says Jay Rice. Loving to see that KO.
Defensives,
green.
huh?
Consumer defensives, military, industrial, and
I should have said consumer defensives. I guess we're not talking about missiles. So
utilities. Well, I'm just saying all the defensive names. All the defensive sectors.
Boeing, yikes. Trouble.
Yeah, how far down is Boeing going? Oh, wow. Okay, I need to take a look at Boeing here because I had some levels marked down here. Jeez. Okay, so we are coming down to the April 25th low, which I have at 195.70. I'm sorry, 159.70. And it looks like if we continue down here, we're going to hit a trend line as support down near somewhere between 153 and 154. So that's going to be the support. If we shoot down there today, that's right where I think we can see the support for the day and maybe even turn around. We go through that, then holy cow! I'll have to tell you about another trend line here that's down closer to underneath 140.
CNFR here. This is open. It's right at its VWAP. Size above at 124 on CNFR. I don't know if I like this right here. SPY continuing to, it looks like a 557 retest coming here on the SPY. That's to the downside.
BOF 384 now the new intraday high.
This every time I take the stock off, it makes a new high. Every time I look at a different stock, BOF makes a new high.
Please leave it off your screen. I'm scared.
I was going to say, who's in this? Why don't I just keep changing it?
All right, AUD also still trying to work its way back up to VWAP. It's slow going at the moment, but it does look like the MACD may be starting to curl. Needs more time.
Did we get above that one level I asked about?
Nope.
Not yet.
We
did not.
Getting closer, but not yet. As a matter of fact, the closest we got to it was 122. So need more time on this one still. NBAX finding support from VWAP. Current intraday high is 1320. What else? And BOF.
Jay making a joke here. Bank of Fallujah.
BOF.
Not quite my name, but I mean, hey, look, $4 prints here. Look, clearly this was the stock that's moving here today. Didn't have it. So if you guys do, just make sure you're paying yourself on the way up.
425, then 475.
Do you feel confident? You don't have this, right?
Nope.
Do you feel confident buying this at any of these levels?
Oh, no, these are levels where I'd be selling.
To sell. Exactly. No, that's exactly. SPY broke it. Travis, I love the eagle eye there, Travis. It did. Now it's still kind of holding that level, but 556.87, that low print, and bang, lower we go now still. So great call there, Travis. You were on top of that. SPY broke it down.
All right, 555. Let's see if the dip buyers are strong today.
I'll tell you what, fall is in the air today, folks. It's 57 degrees when I woke up here in Chicago. It's probably in the low 60s now. I got my window open. I got all types of allergens messing with my nose. We got September here. We got the market selling off. Let's go. Football's here this week. Fall's here, 13.
Apparently fall is here in the market too as the price falls.
I'm going to blow my nose real quick. I feel like I'm all stuffed.
That's the fall. All right, so here we go. AUD still trying to push up the VWAP. BOF, a little bit of a pullback after reaching 411. 425 is the next upside target I had with this one. Maybe it's trying to come in. I think it may pull back a little bit, and if it can get some support from, let's call it 330, then it might still be able to push up higher into those 325, 375 areas I was talking about. So let's see what we get with this pullback here. VOX, this one looks like it's just cooling off after that run it had, and it looks like it wants to turn around. But first, I want to see some support from VWAP.
Florida Yacht Insurance guy says it's 86 here in Florida. I'll trade you. No, how about that? We're definitely not going to trade that. Jay Rice, I'd be curious to know, you probably don't get this down where you're at, but I got a little sad this weekend when I saw all these fall leaves sitting on the green of where I was at. I was like, no, we're not ready yet. I'm sorry, 13. Which stock were you just talking about? BOF? Is that even a good question or what?
I think I was talking about that one. I've been kind of moving around, still waiting for AUD to kind of do what it's doing right now, and it's trying to make its way back up to VWAP. Need a little bit more volume in this one, but it's pushing.
Yes. So Chris is saying, isn't today the first trading day of the month? The answer to that is yes. Last month of the quarter? Yes. I would think the market finds a bottom, as funds typically have inflows on the first of the month. No. So yes, funds typically do have inflows. 13, you talked about this earlier. Kudos to you, because you mentioned, boy, it sure seems pretty weak for those inflows days.
Yeah, and I think we also had another month this year like this where the inflows, the first of the month was pretty weak. Yeah.
Fall golf is the best. Sorry. I was trying to not interrupt you, but since I made you laugh.
No worries.
It is what it is.
But yeah, it's a bit of a weak day. And we also saw on Friday the funds doing their markups. That's why we had that big rally into the close there. So
Mike, I think that you're responding to this discussion we're having as far as why buy the highs? Well, why buy the high? Really simple response to this, Mike. Standard to drag the pricing down. I like this. 11. This is a correct. This has been the correct answer as the market has continued to push to highs. Buy the high if it's going to go higher, because you're going to get another opportunity to sell it. That's going to work until it doesn't.
Yeah, some of these I wouldn't feel comfortable chasing.
By the way, look at that AUUD. Really was not able to get above that 125. That spot has been filled with stock to sell. Apple, and Jay mentioning that Apple is rolling over. Indeed, we actually looked at Apple, but was pounding the lows. It tried to bounce, but new lows have been set now. Jay, I agree with you. This is rolling over here.
Yep. Still Tesla, the only one that's green today among the Mag 7s. I kind of feel like we should include Berkshire Hathaway instead of Tesla.
Gene asking, would you call that dip at 4 a.m. on Nvidia and consolidation until 5 a.m. a classic bear flag? So I think what you're talking about is this move right here, right, Gene? First of all, are you referencing Eastern or a different time zone? I always assume Eastern unless you say otherwise, just FYI. So what you're asking for, this little move down where we consolidated, you can see I actually marked off that channel and then bang, we just broke. We didn't retest, so we didn't get any entry trigger on this one. But would you call this a bear flag? So the action is flaggy and it's to the downside. So yes, it's definitely bearish. 13. How about you? You're a little bit more up on the specifics of some of these chart formations. Do you consider this a bear flag? I'm going to go say yes. I would. Yes, Gene, I would. Let's hear what 13 has to say.
When I guess I'm trying to make sure I get the right spot here, because when I look at, we opened the pre-market at 4 and we went down and found some support around, half an hour later, and we traded back up. I think that's what you're referring to as the formation of the bear flag, and then that just sent us slower into the consolidation. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah,
I think what he's referring to here, and if you want timestamps, I've got it at 4:24. That's going to be that low of Nvidia, and then it really kind of stayed in this channel until the open. So from 4:24 a.m. till the rest of the pre-market, it really just kind of stayed in a $1 channel that was lower than where it closed.
I mean, if we're talking prior to 450, I could see how that could be a bit of a bear flag, but and then the resulting drop out after that. But any beyond that, I don't see much of a bear flag. I just see some consolidation. I only see a potential bear flag up to about 450.
So I think the 15-minute kind of shows this a little bit better. Gene, we really kind of just sold off, and then we did consolidate here. This is the flag that you're effectively asking about, and then bang, we took another leg lower here. Anyway, let me know if that helps, Gene. Let me know if that helps.
Yeah, I guess depending on which time frame we're looking at, it's going to be easier to see. I was looking on a 5-minute, so if I'm looking on a 15-minute, I can see how that would, be more of a. I guess I'll just say kind of. It looks to me like there's an even bigger formation happening here with the when you look at the bigger picture. Like since Wednesday of last week, we've had more of a bearish looking, like almost a bear pennant, where we kind of dropped, consolidated, and then now we're going lower today. Sometimes with technicals, it's you're going to see what you're trying to see.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to get your opinion, because I've been waiting for Nvidia to sell off. I see it dropping, consolidating, and dropping, and to me, that's exactly why I asked that. I'm really glad that you said that there. Here is your Nvidia daily chart. You can see we're actually going to test this 110 area, which is your 100-day moving average.
Looks like AUUD is trying to make that move. Trying to get back up to VWAP.
Let's see. Did we take out that 125? No, we're still there.
It's at it right now. Trying to take it out.
Do we trade this if we break above it? They're taking it. Oh, I was just a sec too late there. I wanted to try. So what do we think? Do we close it here on AUD now that we just took out that 125?
My whole thing is that it needs to get back to VWAP. I think what's going to happen is it's going to try to push up to VWAP. Maybe it gets there. Maybe it gets almost there. And then once it does, we'll see a little bit more pullback.
The other thing, 13, is that I didn't see that expanding. But when I talked about getting stopped out of this trade initially, I said, hey, I really want to see some of that expanding volume. I don't see that yet. And so for me, I'm not in a hurry. I did see that level kind of fall, and I was tempted, but I'm not necessarily in a hurry here. Morning, Walter. Great to see you as always. Robert mentioning GME here again. So GME, I didn't notice anything, Robert, on the calls, but you might be right about that. Let me kind of go through here real quick. 21.5 calls. I just see some 100 lots in here. I don't see anything crazy on GME. I actually haven't seen anything crazy on the options at all today, although this here, 5,000 contracts on a 60 put on Marvell. It's going to be ticker MRVL. Wow. So this is the October 60 put Trader bought 5,000 of those. Let me see. MRV. Let me pull that up in my.
Great call on ASST. This thing is ripping right now.
Oh, let me put that on screen. Who called that? Who called that?
Shaka was mentioning it. That's the last I saw. Somebody else was saying it before. Then DC59 also said it too. So, and the Crow. Lots of people saying ASST.
Okay. DC59. We'll take it. Shaka. Crow. I can't find your thing, but I'm assuming that
it's further up.
Got it.
I saw it.
Crow is the one. Amanda, I'm gonna walk with you here on your speculation. Do you guys think Tuna woke up, looked at the market, and noped right back to the beach? Tuna's in France, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that he would have already been awake when the US market started to do its shenanigans here. Maybe he was watching Asia and Europe sell off. I don't know. I'm gonna bet that he's doing something. Doesn't seem like someone that goes right back to bed, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Ryan, a few things here. So AUD could not close on the 5-minute above that 125. Now we're coming back down to test the 65 EMA again. So there's something to watch.
How glad am I that we didn't buy this head fake again?
Also, Bitcoin. I was talking about how that needed to go underneath 58,000 and then recapture it.
And it did.
Kind of what we're doing right now. So I'd be watching Bitcoin to see if we're going to get the turnaround here, and if we do, that's going to be good for all those Bitcoin names that we were talking about. I know that CLSK was getting. There's another one, MSTR. So
I wanted to get to this earlier. The GBT 2.0. One of our Twitter viewers. I'm sorry I didn't get to this when you had actually posted this, but it fits in now. What are your guys' thoughts on MSTR? I got some puts for this week. Okay, 13. You were already kind of giving it there before I interrupted and put this up. You saying that if Bitcoin, the move here in Bitcoin is obviously going to affect some of those other names. So now that we dropped beneath 58K and reclaimed it, what do you think here?
Well, I think that it's going to try and trade back up to at least 58,750. That would be my my assessment based on how it's been moving over the past 24 hours. So I would at least try to see if it can get back up there. Maybe it runs into some issues around 58,005, but I think it's trying to make its way back up to 59,000. And this is usually we've seen this happen before. It'll get down underneath 58,000, trade underneath there for a bit, and once it recaptures it, that's usually your the signal to go long on some of these names. Is that Bitcoin will start to rally back up. Not sure if that's going to happen again today, but it's been pretty consistent whenever it does it. You can look to the left and see how frequently that happens. But I think this is trying to go higher right now. And the MACD also is showing that as well. So that at least that is trying to curl. So those Bitcoin names, Mara, Riot, CLSK, and MSTR should start to see some upside.
MicroStrategy's 15-minute chart here. To me, this tells me that it wants to test the level lower here, the GBT 2.0. So I don't, when you say puts for this week, I'm going to assume, I guess, that they expire at the end of this week. It seems to me like that's a short-term trade. Looking at the 15-minute chart here, I would say this kind of wants lower. Crow said Bitcoin going down, in my opinion. So it looks like we got some other Bitcoin bears going on here. BOF bouncing. Did that pull and give us entry? Not really. It did trade down, but I want to see a flush. I want to see a flush to a level and then a hold there.
That doesn't look too bad. It looks like that cooling off looks sufficient before it goes up again. Maybe we get a couple more minutes of selling before it starts to turn around, but it's it's not bad.
Yeah, Lewis, you'd need debit and credit information from the exchange to confirm a buy or a sell. I don't have that there, but I was looking at those Marvels as well.
MSGM with a new low. And NVAX looks like it wants to try and take out 1320. All right. And then I also saw that the Dollar General is getting mentioned by Robert. That is trying to turn around here. The volume's okay at this particular point in the day, I suppose. It still looks a little weak to me. What is everybody else looking at?
Juan, I like this a lot. As I've mentioned before, I don't actively trade Bitcoin. I stick with stocks, varying degree of success with stocks as it is. So I don't venture into the Bitcoin waters. I'm just a hodler here. But Juan's saying, I watched Bitcoin. I'm watching. Good Lord. I'm watching for Bitcoin to make that fast-paced wash before changing directions towards 100K. So that first comment there, I absolutely think that's what's going to happen. I think that you are likely to see a down move in Bitcoin that is going to result in a push to new highs and print of 100K, which I know a lot of people have been waiting for years. 35 to 40K, maybe the area before the bigger pump. You actually have a little bit more of a downside target than I do. I'm not sure it gets there. I'm thinking it turns around somewhere in this 50K handle somewhere. But I like the thought process here. I like where you're going here. I have to say, I agree with you. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Parker Stinker Swim asking BITO, anyone use this for Bitcoin?
So
what's going on with that? Because I think they did have like a dividend.
Yes. So this is interesting, Parker. I have let me just say right off the top here, I have no firsthand experience with this name. I've never owned this name in my portfolio for any length of time. However, we did have someone recently, I believe it was Jeff, mentioning how this paid out a crazy dividend, something like 44%. But did something happen with this recently? Possible. I'm unsure. ProShares Trust is a filer information.
Let's take a look.
See, and this is interesting with this being Bitcoin. We don't have the dividend calendar. That actually gives me something to look into. Let me take some notes here real quick.
Let me see if I can get you some information on that.
So 80 monthly dividend paid stocks. Yeah, that's a rating downgrade. Looks like that was on Friday. The BITO down almost 8% here today.
So they have a $1.20 and a fraction. So basically $1.20, $1.21 dividend. Ex-dividend date is today.
So that's why it's down. Today's ex-dividend, and it's a lot. $1.25, you said?
$1.20 to $1.21. Because it's 120 and then 88 and some other numbers.
Stock closed at about $19, down $1.45 here today.
There you go.
Almost wondering if this is possible by the I guess it's going to move with Bitcoin anyway, though. So 1835, your high print in the VIX, that continuing to print higher.
BOF, worth watching to see if it turns around here. I think this is cooled off enough, and it looks like it might be getting support for reversal. So keep an eye on it. Maybe it starts to trade back up.
Real quick, Apple, Netflix, Goldman Sachs, all at lows. Amazon at lows, although that's been muted compared to some of those other stocks we just talked about. Even Costco is lower here. BOF, you might get a bounce. Sorry, 13. BOF, you might get a bounce here at that VWAP at 330. Go get in there.
I was just saying, say it so that Costco's down.
Yeah, it's all right, though. You know what, guys and gals? Went to Costco this weekend, as I normally do. They have Christmas decorations up. They had multiple Christmas trees. And I was like, what month is it? I mean, I'm still golfing. I don't want Christmas trees. Come on. But Christmas trees are available at Costco. Affirm pulling down. Did we finally top out there on Affirm? Well, we had over 44 prints on this one. Now it looks like we're kind of rolling over here.
Smart for Life trying to go higher. It's been working its way up. I mean, it's on its way back to VWAP.
Market is look at Jake. Look at my teammates. I got the best teammates anywhere in the world. That is for certain. Market is down, but Bear down, Faluna is up. So Jacob, Bear, and I. Jacob's last name is Bear. I'm a Bear fan. We both did our fantasy draft yesterday, and Jacob's right. I am extremely stoked about the team that I drafted last night. Like extremely stoked. So I am definitely up, Jacob. It's hard for me to get down on a week where we've got football coming. Wait, Amanda, I've got a Amanda, are you saying that you have a Christmas tree put up in your house? Is this guy? I'm just trying to confirm this because I almost can't even believe that.
And there goes SMFL.
It's 13's like, I'm not trying to talk about Christmas trees on September 3rd.
We haven't even gotten past Thanksgiving yet. You do not start talking Christmas until we've been given thanks. Damn it.
Oh.
BOF trying to push. Yeah, anyway, back to
SOC getting a mention here. Is that real? SOC? Yes. Stable offshore.
Okay, see, I guess that's a good enough excuse. She's got a big house. She's got to get started because, I'm sure she's not getting a whole lot of help.
I have to start. I have 9 trees. You have 9 Christmas trees in your house. I give thanks for Christmas trees. Okay. I mean, look, I'm a huge fan of Christmas, and I'm a huge fan of Christmas trees and all of that and the whole thing that goes along with it.
So which chimney does Santa come down?
Ooh, which multiple chimneys?
Yeah, I bet there's in a 6,000 square foot house, you're not going to just have one.
Jay, with a typical Arizona joke, I have my Christmas tree up year round. It's called a cactus. That's what they say down there in Arizona. Jay, do you string lights on that? You seriously don't know what fantasy football is? Okay, this is what I would say. I would say get on the Google machine and do some generic search terms. You will probably be reading for some time. Do people make money off of it? Yes, the good ones do.
It's a very, very big sports gambling aspect there. SMFL is really getting some bullish movement here.
Amanda says, as a single mom, Santa figures it out from year to year.
Like I said, she doesn't have any help.
That is funny, Amanda. I love that you have a sense of humor.
He's put Santa. So he got like elf hats on the lower parts and the Santa hat on the top on the big middle part.
What about like those arms? Like, don't cactuses have arms?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Elf on a shelf. Elf on a shelf right there. That makes sense. Why are we talking about Chris? It's September 3rd. I blame myself. Just straight up, I blame myself for doing this here. You guys know how to egg me on, though. That's
SMFL going up like chat Christmas trees here.
Whoa, that escalated quickly. We put a Santa hat on a bottle of gin. Gin's really good, actually. By the way, Netflix new lows. I'm going to bring up the broader market here. Here's the spike hanging out near the lows. Here's the Qs. So whoever traded, so someone asked about SQQQ earlier. Well, today was the day, obviously. You know what would be interesting to me is if we got continuation of the Q down move tomorrow. If this SQQQ continues to move up tomorrow, to me, 13 is that. Am I off base by saying we really haven't got 2 days in a row where these short technology ETFs have worked, right? It's really kind of been choppy. It's been one day they've worked, the next day they bounce back. It's been really difficult for traders to swing trade it.
It's felt like that. I'd have to look at some charts to say if that's the case or not. But I saw that we were getting asked about Broadcom earlier.
They have earnings this week, I believe.
They have earnings in 2 days, and this is one of the last big companies that's in the queues that reports. And I think that they're probably end up going to go the way of Nvidia. That's just my assumption. Because this whole AI trade seems to be kind of unraveling. And keep in mind, Broadcom does make AI chips too. They're just apparently not on as good as the Nvidia ones. But they do make they do help with the manufacturing of Google's AI chips, so they are part of that whole move as well.
It'll be interesting to see how this reports. I have no position for this. Robert, I know that you trade this. Amanda, maybe you're trading this. Chris, you might actually be trading this. I'd be curious to know if any of you folks are trading this. Maybe Broadcom. Maybe this is one we should ask Anne Marie about. That reminds me, by the way. I know today, anytime we have a long holiday, you don't ever want to assume. I know today we have a show scheduled with Anne Marie. I have not confirmed with her yet. I have reached out to her, but not confirmed with her. 13, if Anne Marie is tied up today, would you be willing to hang out so that we could fill that gap?
Oh, sure. I'll hang out.
Okay. So first of all, I really appreciate you. And that's awesome. Now we have a plan.
Well,
Anne Marie gave us butterflies last week for Avago. Okay. She did it in the pro. I was going to say, because that was not one of the ones that we covered on the show, but Amanda digging deep in there. And you're right. She might have done that. I believe that you are correct on that.
She picked up options on June 24th.
Well, that was the previous Avago one that we did, right? Yeah. No. Okay. So real quick. So here, you know what? I'm going to share this. I didn't ask her for permission for this. Do you think she'd be mad at me?
Don't you bring me into this.
Yeah, no, this isn't you. Okay, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna share this because Amanda just mentioned it, and Amanda's correct. And I'm gonna share this with the group here. And if I get yelled at, or if I made a mistake here, it's my fault.
Okay.
I'm not going to blame you. It's going to be my fault. Look, if I make mistakes, I own them and I will take them. I understand this might be a little bit difficult for you let me see if I can blow this up for you folks. No, it's not really going to, because it's a picture preview in here. I apologize. For the size here, but this is the double butterfly that Amanda was just talking about. Anne-Marie put in the pro chat room. We got September expiry. The upside targets here are 175, 185, 195. And on the put side, they're 135, 125, 115. Again, that's September expiry. So here it is. Amanda, shouts to you. This was a great call. Looks like a total of 118 debit. I have exposure to both sides of those moves. You just love to see that. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to trade the pool here. I'll start selling if the SPY can't get to VWAP. Okay, so Chris, you're thinking here then if the SPY doesn't bounce back to its VWAP, let me give you a visual aid of that. I've got VWAP at 558.37, current price here 2 points lower at 556. You're saying that you might start selling some of your positions a little later in the day if SPY just remains weak and is unable to recapture that? That's kind of what I'm gathering from you. The cool thing is that these are cheaper than when she gave them. There you go, Amanda. Well, then I'm really glad that I said that. I'm sorry, 13. I ran you over, though.
This looks like SPY is about ready to take its next leg lower. Maybe
sure does.
In the next 10 minutes.
ASST, this popping here away from its VWAP. Let's see if this goes for the highs. And look at this, folks. This has the thing that we've been looking for. That volume is expanding. If this continues, I think we go up towards those highs.
Yeah, 245 is currently the high. I don't have any levels put in.
This was a great call, you guys. Whoever was on this one. This was WIS and Shaka combining for this one. Carmen is asking the question that I think is on the minds of so many traders out there. I know this is one that we've been talking about. Okay, ASST. Crispy, by the way, I'm going to actually give some sounds for that one because that was an amazing call. Carmen, though, I love this question. Who's waiting for Nvidia to fall below 100? Now, the reason that, say again?
All the dip buyers.
All the dip buyers. That's actually a really good kind of a general answer. That is 100% correct. Here is your daily chart on Nvidia. The reason that, and Carmen, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right here. The reason that Carmen is asking for this is because the last time that we dipped beneath that 100, the buying was ferocious. In fact, that was actually one of the bigger volume sticks going back to May. Okay, it was probably the biggest volume stick going back to May. Buyers stepped in here and we ripped from that $100 level up to 128, almost a 30% or almost a 30% move in less than 2 weeks. So Carmen, I'm with you on this, because if this goes to 100 again, I am thinking I'd give it a shot. Be curious to know who else would be buying Nvidia for a potential long swing here if it's able to print beneath 100. I think Carmen's on to a key level. You folks, let me know what you think.
I'd say let's see what is going on in the world once we get down to 100. I think that's probably going to, help determine whether or not we go along, because I think this there's a lot of instability coming, and market doesn't like that uncertainty. I'm not confident at this going under 100 and having it rip back up. I'd want to see what's going on in the world at that point.
That's fair, and we'll be able to do that. Dr. Manred said he's long at 95 if it dips beneath. Lion, of course, going over the top as he normally does. If Nvidia comes to 100, I'll buy it with both my hands. Back the truck up, beep, 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 and get ready to shoot that cannon of cash at it. Lion Atlas is a buyer at 100.
Really, really scary to think that all of Nvidia's success hinges on on one company.
TSM.
Yep.
TSM. Okay. Carmen here saying keep some money prime. Look, keep some of that dry powder. That's also why Trade the Pool can help. Prop firms can help with that. But just saying, I'm with you guys on that. I would definitely try it. I'd keep some tight stops on that, but I would try it. And Dr. Manred, I like your 95 level for an overshoot of that 100, because I do think that $100 Livermore level is going to come into play. When we break that to the downside, yeah, you might see the price might move a couple of points lower, to be quite honest with you. Okay, let's go back to Trade the Pool real quick.
Yeah, ASST, that printed a high of 253. Looks like it wants to try to go higher. Just taking a look around. Bitcoin still trying to recapture 58,000. Smart for Life now hanging out above VWAP. See if it holds. AUD lower. MSGM trying to get back up to VWAP. And BOF trying to get support from VWAP.
How happy am I that I did not get faked out a second time? It's one thing to be wrong and to get faked out by a stock, but it's another thing to go back to the same losing stock and have the same thing happen. Super thrilled that I avoided that here. AUUD. SPY new daily lows. We've been talking about that all morning. SPY continuing to pound the lows. Looks like the Qs did the same thing. Here you go on the SPY. Here you go on the Qs. Same deal here.
Crow, I'm trying to stay in my chair from not rolling my eyes back as far as they possibly can go. And what is going on here? Seeing a lot of sideways action at the moment.
Yes, I am actually kind of looking around here. That TLT that we talked about earlier, that had that impulse move, but stopped and has not gone back to those highs. NVDS, that short looking pretty good. PCVX, did that come back in? Look at that. Look at that.
Oh.
That was actually kind of a slow trader. We could have hit that one.
What happened to VKTX?
Ooh. Someone mentioned this earlier as it looked like it was going for the highs. We didn't have any news here today. Yep, nope. Novo Nordisk warned of a continued Ozempic shortage in Q4. I don't know that would cause this in VKTX though.
Yeah, because that was earlier.
Right. So here's the interesting. Oh, look at this 13.
Oh,
Steph Curry.
Nice.
Steph Curry on CNBC right now talking about Under Armour, by the way, if we get a pop in any of this. But here's VKTX 13. I don't remember if you recall, you must, but you actually had me draw. Good Lord, Ryan. Speak English, MF, or do you speak it? VKTX, you had actually had me put this trend line on here. It actually looked like we straight up ran to that trend line and got rejected at it. And with the market being weak today, to me, maybe this is just kind of trading with the market. I wonder if this holds the 50.
Oh, well, yeah, that'll be the thing to watch for. And we're still a little ways away from it.
Yeah, we're currently holding the 100. Well, actually, we're beneath the 100. Let's see where we close, though.
Well, Line Atlas, the fundamentals have changed for Nvidia. Their margins are compressing. TSM's going to be charging them more, and they may end up having to wait in line. We're seeing over their earnings report, yes, they are still beating their revenue estimates, but that those beats are getting smaller and smaller. You can chart these.
Here, which one? I'll bring it up. I'll show it.
This is Nvidia. You can chart this, and you can see that we're coming up to, I guess, what we could call peak earnings. So I think the fundamentals have changed, especially if their margins are compressing. I mean, you look at a company like TSM that's doing close to similar revenue as Nvidia, and they're not even anywhere near the valuation of Nvidia, but they're making the chips for Nvidia. The TSM is, in this sense, is incredibly undervalued, or Nvidia is incredibly overvalued. I think it's the latter.
Here you go on those earnings, by the way.
Yeah,
totally compressing. You can, yeah. So, and that's interesting. So 13 sounds like you drew a pivot table. By the way, for any of you that are into drawing tables and charts and graphing stuff, just right click. For all you pro users, it's super easy. Just right click and export this data to CSV. You can draw your pivot table in 3 seconds. Just
yeah,
saying.
I don't like talking down about Nvidia, because this this broadcast brought to you by Nvidia. I've got that one of their cards in my machines right now.
As do I, as a matter of fact. Full disclosure.
But at some point we're going to have to face the reality that this company is really dependent upon one company, and if that one company decides they're going to raise prices, then they're going to see their margins.
Or has a geopolitical headwind.
Yeah.
Jay saying, I'm old enough to know that semis were always a cyclical biz. Jay, that also means that you're probably old enough to know that these stocks traded at a really low multiple. We're talking teens for most of these semiconductor companies. Multiple in the teens. What's Nvidia at as of today, before the open here today? Nvidia is 42.5.
Dan, it doesn't matter if Nvidia doesn't have China on its doorstep. The company that makes the chips for Nvidia has China on their doorstep. So if the TSM, if China goes and does a quarantine around the island, let's say that potentially happens, you're going to see Nvidia and every other company that gets their chips from Nvidia, they're all going to drop. The whole AI trade is going to completely unwind. And I agree that the demand is there, but it's going to, at this point, we're talking about supply. And if they can't supply that demand, that's going to be a big problem for Nvidia and AMD and Apple and every company that's relying on TSM to make those chips.
By the way, here, BOF did come into its VWAP, and it is trying to bounce. So we didn't get the flush that we wanted. We got kind of a gradual move back here. And one of the other things that I've been watching here, I've been talking about, is the expanding volume. Well, now the volume's contracting on the backside of this move. So really, it sure looks to me like the best trade setup here was this break. This upside break of the pre-market high really kind of sent it. Yeah. We didn't get a pullback for that entry since then.
Yes, they are building factories in the USA. They have 2 in Arizona, I think they're building, and I forget where the other one is. That's still a ways away.
I was going to say, aren't we kind of a ways away from these foundries providing the chips that NVIDIA needs for its production? We're years away.
The first one is supposed to go online, I believe, next year. And the next one in Arizona is not going to go online until 27 or 28.
And I think there was also one in Washington, maybe I'm misremembering that. I thought there was one in the Pacific Northwest. And then, yeah. So anyway.
But don't let me talk you out of one.
No. Look. It sounds like he's on the same page. Honestly, absolutely agree. Just saying, any China war rattles gets TSM shaking. We've seen that. We've actually seen TSM respond to some of those global headwinds.
And it gets a little concerning when you realize that China's been very aggressive in buying equipment for chip making.
Yeah.
So what's the scenario here for them? I kind of see how they're trying to do the same thing that they did with solar, that they did with EVs, where they just start the country starts investing heavily into those sectors. They help build their companies up, create a whole bunch of products, and they flood the international markets with all this supply that frankly we don't want. So that they have all these China EVs that they're pushing out now. They have all these China-made solar panels they've been pushing out for a while. They're trying to make chips the next thing that they're going to try to pump out and flood the market with. And I don't think it's any secret that that's what's happening here, especially when you consider that they're curbing their exports of antimony, gallium, and I'm trying to think of the other element that they use for manufacturing semiconductors, but they're cutting off those supplies, or they're making it harder to get. So it seems like this is part of their playbook, is to kind of corner the semiconductor market next.
VIX is at 1850, and I have got to shout this out. I have got to shout this out. Chris Orsman, you are my hero of the week until football starts. I have used the term misremembering over the past couple years several times, and I strategically throw it in when I'm talking about stuff. And not one person has remembered that this came from Roger Clemens saying that Andy Pettit misremembered the steroid use back on Capitol Hill a while ago. I'm absolutely thrilled that you were able to tie this together. Despite all of that, by the way, Roger Clemens, one of the best pitchers baseball's ever seen, next to Nolan Ryan and Sandy Koufax. So the fact that you were able to I am so impressed and happy that you were able to call this out. That makes my day. I've literally been waiting probably over a year for that to happen.
Looks like ASST trying to push up for new highs again. It's slow moving, but it's looking like it's trying to do that.
The GBT, our Twitter viewers out here today. Thoughts on Pepsi? So we talked about some of these names earlier, right? Pepsi, Coke. What was the other one that Jay Rice mentioned earlier? MO. The consumer defensive names clearly in favor here. We're seeing tech fall out of favor. That to me seems like the September sell-off is upon us.
Pepsi got some news this morning. Papa John's announces PepsiCo is exclusive beverage supplier for North America through 10-year contract renewal.
Here, buddy.
So a little bit of good news there.
All right. Cat wanted to get out of the office. That garbage truck scares the hell out of him every time it drives by. Okay.
Yeah, easy job. I think that China won't invade Taiwan anytime soon. Maybe probably not this year, most likely. But I wasn't talking about invasion. I was talking about a quarantine. That's where they basically get their ships positioned strategically around the island and kind of embargo certain exports and imports. So they could still effectively do a quarantine without having to invade, and that would still disrupt TSM.
Chris, take care of yourself. Great job on Boeing here today. And really nice job. By the way, Chris, one of our regulars in the happy hour, really been slaying recently. Chris, love it. And love that you're playing fantasy football. So, in fact, Chewbacca approves of you. Just FYI. You got that going for you here today. BOF back at that 350 level.
Yeah, still
that tried to bounce, but just doesn't have the volume.
It certainly is trying, isn't it? It needs to recapture 360 first, and then we can maybe have a little bit more hope, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word, but or more of a confirmation that it's trying to go higher. It needs to recapture 360. Let's see if we can get that first.
Noman is asking SQQQ long now. Well, first of all, as always, the stream is for educational and entertainment purposes. We cannot be financial advisors. None of us are registered to do that. Trade these risky investments at your own risk. Here's the question, though, that you're actually trying to get to, because I know you know all that stuff that the legal mumbo jumbo that we just covered. What you're asking here is, does this sell-off continue? Right? Do we continue to move down? Is this one of those things where we, just kind of chop and we just kind of bounce back tomorrow, or do we see some continuation? I will answer this question very, very forwardly. I am not trying to add to SQQQ today because most of the days where we've seen this type of action, the very next day has been a regression back to the mean. If that happens, maybe then I would try some SQQQ. I'm not looking to long now. As I said at the beginning here, this has been a great trade. If you time it correctly, seems like I don't want to chase this move.
Yeah, and the thing that's important to remember is that this is about where the market starts to turn around as we in the SPY. We're almost down to 555. We got as low as 555.10. So we should see the dip buyer start to come in and take this market back up. If we lose 555 and it starts looking like we're going to be going closer to 550, then you might have a better case of going long on this SQQQ. But right here, this is lately where we've been seeing the SQQQ reverse and go lower. So I don't think this is. I think you need to wait and see what happens here with the SPY and the Qs before we start talking about going long at this particular point. Going long at the open would have been much better, but now that we've run, this is where I'd be like, okay, let's wait and see what happens. This is where we usually see that the price reverse in the SPY and the dip buyers come in and start taking the market back up. If we are not going to get that today, we need to see confirmation of that first, in my opinion. And
if that's what you think is going to happen, that the dip buyers are going to step in here, perhaps the trade is not SQQQ, but instead TQQQ. And it looks like Amanda is already targeting that. Interesting you say that, because I was thinking of grabbing TQQQ at the close for a small position if the Qs keep falling today. So if the Qs don't bounce here and we continue to be weak into the close, maybe a regression back to the mean via the TQQQ is on deck. Amanda, I like where your head's at.
It's been some time since we actually had a close beneath 555.
Yeah, we'll see if we get that here. All right. It is 11 o'clock. We do have Anne-Marie here, 13. So I really appreciate you making sure that our community is not going to lose out on any trading time. You're
absolutely. And,
awesome.
you know, give Anne-Marie my best. Hopefully we get some good options ideas. I know she brings them.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll give you an opportunity to give her your best. Anne-Marie, 13 would like to say something to you.
Hey, it's very nice to see you. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
It's always good to see you, and I appreciate you standing in the gap while it took me a hot minute to get myself together here today.
Not a problem. Not a problem. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your morning, and I'll be a viewer from this point on.
Sounds good. 13, we will see you at happy hour. Really, really good work today. And perhaps most importantly, we will see you tomorrow as well. 13 leaves a spot for Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, I got to ask, I know it's a synthetic Monday here today. We did have that holiday weekend. How was your Labor Day?
Quiet, which I totally needed because I've had, you know, kids with surgery and one thing right after another. So it was a nice, quiet time and good rejuvenation. I am ready for September.
Okay, that is awesome. And perhaps most importantly, as we are all very thankful for all the help you give our community, we hope that everything is going well with you and your loved ones. I'm glad you're able to get some relaxation over the weekend because, as you said, you are ready for September. We are here traditionally a pretty weak month seasonally, or if you look at seasonality. So, okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and throw your screen up here. It's worth, I got to come clean though, Anne-Marie. Someone earlier we were talking about earnings this week. Someone earlier was asking about Broadcom. And I suggested, hey, maybe we could ask Anne-Marie to set up a Broadcom trade. But because we have so many people that are already in your chat, Amanda told me that you had already set up a Broadcom trade. So without asking for your permission, I took the liberty of sharing that with the group. I hope that's okay.
Excellent. I love that. I love that. I love the sharing event. Yes, absolutely.
Great.
And thank you, Amanda, for being on top of that. Let me tell you a little bit about the screen. I love what 13 said a minute ago about hanging out to go long until you saw some sort of bottoming in the Qs and the SPY. I think that's very, very good advice. The big thing that we watch, and I am being a broken record, I realize this, but the big thing that we watch is the VVIX. It is the volatility of the VIX. And when it drifts below this 90 area or right into this 90 zone, dip buying tends to happen. And once we get up over that 90 zone, the dips are usually shallow on the bounce and then more dips on the horizon. And so we are looking at a very critical area. And this morning, we should see, something going on here that allows us to say, all right, maybe price action is going to hold and we can have ourselves an afternoon bounce. And so if we take a look at SPY super fast, we can see that we came down into this 554. That's a super important area. ATR is rising, so volatility is going to be big. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that you just want to think about. If you're very bullish, you want to wait for price action to tell you it's okay to buy. And sometimes that's going to take several 30-minute candlesticks. Maybe it takes a couple of days, but it's better to let the chart settle out than jump into the fray. And so that is the big takeaway for those of us that are much more active in the trading space. We want to make sure that we're sitting in areas where we understand that price action is very, very important to look at. So that being said, let's take a look at what these markets are doing. And so big picture, we're looking at this and we're thinking, oh, what's going on? Remember, big money houses never go to cash. Never. Their goal is to keep every investor invested in the market. So what do we see? We see rotations from one area to another. Now, some days it's a sea of red, but most of the time we see these pockets. And so what are the pockets? Consumer staples, which a lot of folks say are defensive types of stocks, right? So we watch that sort of thing. We see Verizon and AT&T holding with Comcast and T-Mobile. Why? Nobody's going to really get rid of their phones. Yep. But these guys were doing pretty badly at one point, and now you can see the market rotating into different areas. By the market, I mean big money. So why am I telling this story? What I'm saying is, if you've got a mindset of, hey, I need to pay attention because I want to buy, we have to buy where strength is. And if we say, hey, I want to take a look at markets that are weak, we can sell where weakness is. And a lot of times we get that confused. We go, oh, that's going up. I need to look for something that's not behaving properly. And then we miss out on gigantic moves like these guys, right? Had been moving. And now you can see that general rotation. Okay, so what do we have for earnings? Most of the big fat earnings are rotating over. Do we see anything big from?
So here's the earnings of note that I have on my list for this weekend, Marie. We're Broadcom, but we've kind of already covered that. We already gave out a trade. We can cover that trade if you'd like. But we also have Dix, DocuSign, HP Enterprise, Samsara, which is ticker IoT for Internet of Things, and Zscaler.
Okay, so Zscaler I know has
ZS.
I know they've got some good options. So let's start with Zscaler.
Perfect.
And then Dix is, their options are a little bit thin. So don't love that one. But let's just start with these guys. You can see, look at all the volatility here in Zscaler. 124%. Can we see those numbers, or do I need to get them a little bit bigger?
Yeah, I can see them, but I've got better than perfect vision. I think increasing this would be great. While you're doing that here, I am going to welcome MMS77. Thank you for becoming a new member. If there is a stock or a chart that you'd like us to look at, we will fit that in when we can. Appreciate all your support. You are amazing. All right, Anne-Marie, I can see that pretty well. I would say, folks, if you cannot see that well, you could always just kind of shoot a message in the chat, and I'll go ahead and try and read them for you. I can see it, though, Anne-Marie.
Okay.
So I think we can kind of roll ahead with it.
All right, superb. Okay, so I'm going to move this up first, and let's take a look at what the market makers are telling us here. $16. Of market maker movement, but let's see what they're actually pricing in at the money. $18.20. So about $2 more than that. So let's take a look now at the weekly the weekly ATR.
And really quickly, Anne-Marie, not to put too much on that, but I've actually, can you read me those numbers again? I think it was the at the money call and put that you were just doing.
At the money, we're looking at 195. It's $10 on the call side and $8.15 on the put side.
Okay, so that gives you 18.15. Now, what I've always learned is that you multiply that number by 80%. That gives us 14.52. So that market maker number that you're given there, just smack dab in the middle of that. So sorry, I just wanted to kind of do that for my own mental note.
Very nice. Now, where did you learn about that 80%?
And Nathan.
Like that.
Dan Nathan would always say that when you're trying to figure out options and how the options are pricing in the move, you want to look at the current month call and put, add them together, and then multiply it by 80% or 0.8. Look at the straddle.
So the monthly one, let's do that, because that's what I think you just said.
Yep.
So let's go to the monthly at the monies and do an 80% of that. Okay, that is showing 1185 and 940.
Okay, that gives us 21.25, and if we multiply that by 0.8, that gives us 17 on the dot.
Okay, and so yeah, that's
nice. Really close.
Yeah, that's great. I gotta add that one to my memory banks. All right, so let's think about continuation. Now let's take a look at this chart. What we can see is price action has been in a range. It was in a range for several weeks into earnings, and then we had the earnings event. It went down, it held, it moved up, and then it collapsed, and now we're moving into another earnings event. So it could be that the move has already happened. Now, why would I say that? Let's take a look at this motion here. It could grind. It definitely could grind. All right, so we've got, what is the edge here? The range, high to low, about $25. And then this one is $12, and this one is $19. That was a big one. And this one is $22 or no, $27. Okay. So I think this one is fairly priced. That's my guess.
Okay.
And so let's think about this. Let's see how expensive it'll get. Now, our thought is the following. When we have earnings, there's a move, and then there's another move. So it could be that earnings collapse down, and then we hold, and move forward. It could be that earnings collapse down and they continue. It could be that earnings gap down and continue forward. So what we can see is we need several weeks for this to play out perfectly for us. If we're thinking to ourselves, hey, I might have some forward moves. So I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks is what we need. So if we are looking at that, we need to go to October. And so why am I picking October? Two things. If we do butterflies, and we might have a little trouble out there. Oh no, we'll be within that range. If we do butterflies, we want to give the chart room to breathe in whatever direction it's going. Or if it savagely works in one direction, it will not create a catastrophe in the other. We'll still be able to get out with about, maybe a 50% haircut, but we'll be making 250 on the other side.
Okay.
So I'm giving us that time because the market is saying, listen, it's going to take about 4 or 5 weeks of continued motion for this chart to do what it's going to do. If you say to yourself, Anne-Marie, I disagree with that. I want to be in a big strike area. We'll go back and look at that. But for right now, we'll look at this one and we'll say, okay, if I'm at 196 and I am looking at $20 away, then I'm looking somewhere between 210 and 220. So let's say we do 210 to 220 to 230. It's 95 cents. That's not bad. If we're looking here and we go 10, 20, we'll go 180 to 170 to 160. Okay, now what you can see from the pricing here, it's almost $2, but it's giving us a lot of time to figure out what's going on. So here is the flip side of that. If you don't want to go out to October and you're saying to yourself, listen, I'm just going to do September. It either works or it doesn't. Look at how much more expensive things are in that September space. Not for the put, but for the call, definitely. The call side action is 30% more expensive from September to October. If we go to the 6th, which only gives us 3 days or 4 days, I can't count anymore right now. So it's about the same price. The flip side is if it works, it's going to be huge. And if it doesn't work, it's going to zero. So it's almost, what is that word that means buy? It means either one or the other. It means, forget it. You know what I'm saying. It's either, what's that called? It's called,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the word escapes me.
Who just gave you balloons? That's really sweet.
Oh, I love that. I was like,
yeah, I have no idea. I wish I controlled that. I wish I could take credit for that, but I didn't do that. It might have been your AI. Are you on a Mac right now? Yeah,
I am.
Yeah. You said something that triggered it. That's what happened.
Okay.
Binary?
That's hilarious.
Binary?
Yes, binary.
Look at Amanda. Amanda has literally, we might actually have to end up paying you out today because you have done so much work for our community. Like, it's really incredible. Thank you.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
It was her. She understands. She speaks with her hands too. Oh, we out here.
Love it. Okay, so we're looking at about, whoa, look at that. It just slipped to 63 and then 83. Okay, I've got an idea. What if there's when do they report? What is the actual date?
This is Broadcom, right?
No,
no,
this is
excuse me, Zscaler. Okay, Zscaler. calendar, earnings. We are confirmed for September 3rd after the close. This is today, folks. Today, tonight. Thinking about it, you got it. And thinking about it, I'm going to get to your question here in a sec. So,
yeah. So I would say just if you want it filled, you'll have to go for about $2. So it's $2 to make another $8. And so what you'll be looking at is a formation that's going to give you a dip and then a pop, and then a dip, or a dip that stays dip, right? That's all we have as our choice. And so the good thing about this is that it's so far away, sensitivity becomes important, but that's a two-way street. If it goes all the way to 210, it might just end up showing you that it's worth $1.90, right? As opposed to something else. But if it stays at 210, the longer it stays at 210, it's really going to start paying you. Same thing about 180. It'll really start paying you the closer it gets. What you want to do with these is about 14 days before expiration. If it's just hanging out at these levels and not moving, I would close them, or we would just take the long strikes and let the short strikes expire for nothing so we can collect some gains. And so we can talk about this as it goes through.
Okay.
But I do like that one.
Perfect. That's really great. And this is not a name that we look at often, so I'm thrilled we were able to set up a trade for this. We did have a question here I want to get to before I suggest another stock here from Chicago Realtor. Shout out to that handle. Thinking about it was asking, why does Anne-Marie prefer butterflies to long or short put or call spreads? Now, really quickly, I have to do this because Amanda is out here working overtime today. Amanda already answered this and said it defined directional risk, but I wanted to pose that question to you so that you could give Thinking About It the answer he's looking for.
So that is a very good question. One way to say, yeah, that's a great question, and here's why I would say it. You say, listen, if I have a put spread or a call spread, and I am trading both sides of it, let's look at why we have to be so right if this happens. So let's go the 210 to 220. All right, that's 290 right now. And then the 180 to 170. So I will now be paying, if I just bought a long iron condor, which says, listen, either I'm going to win on the call side or I'm going to win on the put side, I'm going to have to spend 50% of the total spread. Right? 50%. Now, it's a much easier trade and it gives me both directions, but it does it at a cost. And so my thought is always, how can I use someone else's money so that I can finance my way through less debt obligation and in turn, a higher return? And so that is why I use the butterflies. I use the butterflies because they allow me directions on both ends at a much cheaper price. Indeed, this is 190. I'm essentially making the same trade here. The difference is, if this goes to 230, I have some triage to take care of. And here, I don't have to do anything. I can just let it expire and I'll be great. So remember, in the spread, there's always a long string with a bead on the end of it. And when we are in the market, we're moving between risk and reward, between ease of execution and rate of return and rate of risk. Everything is about the risk button, how far it moves to the left or to the right. And my job as a trader is not to make trades. It's to position myself in a way that if it goes sideways on me, I leave with just a paper cut and not a gaping hatchet to the chest. And so, I know, always count on me for those.
Paper cut versus gaping hatchet wound to the chest. That, to me, that sums it up. Thinking about it, did you get that? Okay.
So that's it.
That's a great answer. I think that answers your question. We've got 7 minutes here. Can we squeeze in HPE? Chicago Realtors saying, first of all, Chicago Realtor, how happy are you that prices in the Midwest seem to be staying stable? But that's neither here nor there. Can I get your thoughts on HPE as a swing ahead of their earnings report after the close on Wednesday?
Okay, so let's go back to this. We know the favorability of tech at this juncture, right? IBM's doing all right because they've got a big services event. Hewlett Packard is much more of a physical product, right? And so, although most of the things, unless they're, the great big ticket items, most of them are going to be, wow, there's not a ton of volume in here at all.
Nope.
So here's what I'm going to say. One, I don't like butterflies on very small stocks, small prices. Two, if you're looking for a swing, let's take a peek at this. One, we know it's one of the sectors that is not being treated very well right now. That's number one. So unless you're trying to say, I don't care about that, I just want to sell premium, you can, in fact, sell a strangle, right? And that would be, hey, I'm going to sell the 45s and I'm going to sell, I don't know, the 16s, right? That's only going to give you 70 cents. If it comes into 16, you'll get to buy it. And if you get 70 cents, then the price you get to buy it at is actually $15.30. But if it rises above 21, your 21.70 is going to be your break even. And then, you're going to have to be rolling your position. So my thought is this: realize it is a sector that is not being treated very well right now, that it has room to run, but because it's a sector that's not being treated very well, if it bounces, it should fade. And so you've got a much better shot of trading after earnings versus before earnings. And notice this: since the last earnings event, which was this week right here, 1791, we're almost flat, right? We're at 1902. So there's been some measure of motion, but my thought is there's no reason to get in this chart before earnings. No reason at all. One, it's not in an environment where people are going, ooh, I got to buy that as soon as whatever. And two, you can literally put an order out and go, okay, you know what? If I'm holding this for a long swing and it collapses into 1460, I'm going to run into a lot of buyers who will say, you know what, this is good for me. So that's what I would say. Now, the goal when I come in the options show with Ron, it's to say to you, how do I assess what the market is likely to respond in the face of what's going on? And we've seen nothing but sector rotation. The Qs are very weak. And so looking at a chart in tech says, wait for after earnings.
Okay, and sometimes that is the right trade, right? I know it's hard for us traders, but sometimes the right trade is to just sit on your hands. One more thing about HPE. You had mentioned how the option chain is quite illiquid. Again, it's important to remember that this is HP Enterprise. So the primary focus of this business, because they spun it off from regular Hewlett Packard, is enterprise software, cloud storage, and cloud arrays, and server arrays. So if you actually looked at HPQ, those options chains are going to have more volume in them. Now that the person here, or Chicago Realtor asked about HPE. That's the one that has earnings here. But again, just to kind of keep that keep that thought process here.
Well, that's
HPE,
good for me to
HPQ
know.
are different.
I did not know that. I did not know the difference. I did not know why they had spun off.
So there you go.
And what it was. Yeah, good for
and
me.
HPQ more heavily traded, I guess. More frequently traded is the right word.
Yeah.
Okay. Anne-Marie, really good stuff. We do have just about actually we've got less than 2 minutes, got just about a minute here. Is there anything that you wanted to kind of cover ahead of the earnings here or about a previous trade from last week? About 45 seconds left here.
I don't. I think we are sitting in a very slushy time. The markets are going to be weak, and then we're going to see great big buys. Mm-hmm. I want everyone to consider sizing down in an environment that is like this. If you continue to trade aggressively, size down, because it's going to be important in the long run. If things don't work, you do just want a paper cut and not the other thing that I mentioned.
The hatchet to the chest. We'll say it again. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's really good advice. That's advice that I've been kind of doing and demonstrating on a regular basis too. So Anne-Marie, I'm with you. Okay, that was great. Thank you so much. I will see you tonight. And then also, yes. I know it's a truncated week, but we're going to be back on Friday for some more.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Anne-Marie, thank you so much. Thank you all. We will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.